Hey, this is going to be my review of Ring of Honor's 5th year festival. Okay, let's get right down to it. The first show was actually 5th year festival in New York City. This show was pretty much great, not on the same level as some of the other New York shows, but still a lot of great stuff in the show. We have Brent Albright versus BJ Whitmer. The tables match, really, really fun, but, it's tough to rate a match like this because it was just a bunch of spots through the tables, but, it was fun. Next, we have Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels taking on Austin Aries and Roderick Strong. The actual match was good. It was Aries and Strong's last shot to win the tag team titles. They didn't get it done. The actual match was kind of sloppy. Aries sprained his ankle, so the match probably didn't come off as good as some people were probably expecting. But this is where Roderick Strong turned heel on Austin Aries and turned on him and sided with David Richards, and they formed the No Remorse Corps. So really, really, really good storyline advancement right there. Next, we had the Briscoes versus Nigel, McGuinness and Colt Cabana. Pretty underwhelming, not as good as you would expect, but it was still a pretty fun comedy tag match with some good action involved. Next, we had Takeshi Morishima versus Samoa Joe. This is a dream match. This match has been built up for a while. Going back to Glory of Honor 592, and then found about 2006. Joe cut the promo about calling out Pro Wrestling Noah. He says, "Send me Misawa, send me Marufuji, send me Morishima," and then Morishima was the guy that stepped up to the challenge. And here we go. You got two big bulls going at it. This isn't like as good as Joe versus Kabashi, but it was just amazing action. It was just a sight to see. Probably the most hype match of the 5th year festival, and definitely probably the match of the night. Next, we had Homicide versus Jimmy Rave for the ROH World Title. They did a great job of building Jimmy Rave up for this match. He looked like a legit threat to the championship. The actual match was good. It featured a lot of great near falls, a lot of great stuff. Homicide hit the Gringo Killer on Jimmy Rave to win the match. But after the match is over, the fans started booing. I guess they felt underwhelmed considering this was a Ring of Honor World Title match in New York City. So a lot of the fans were turning on Homicide. Some of the fans were chanting Morishima. And yeah, so that just goes to show you that no matter who you are, sometimes the fans are going to turn on you if you're not going above and beyond expectations in the ring. So that's just the way it is in Ring of Honor sometimes. All right, next up we have 5th year festival Philadelphia. This is probably the weakest show of the 5th year festival, but there were still some good things on it. We had Nigel McGuinness and TJ Perkins. You could actually watch this match on YouTube, a nice solid television HD net style match. We had Claudio Castagnoli versus Austin Aries. This was good. It was a good match. The thing about this was Jack Evans came out after the match, and Aries wanted Jack Evans to choose a side between him and Roderick Strong. So pretty good storyline advancement there. Next, we had the Briscoes taking on Kevin Steen and El Generico. This was excellent. This was, Kevin Steen and El Generico's tryout match in Ring of Honor. They got a "Please come back" chant. Them against the Briscoes. This is probably one of their better matches, and this was the first one. So definitely check it out. Next, we had Samoa Joe versus Jimmy Rave. This was good. A lot of people overrated it, in my opinion. I think it's kind of boring, actually. The crowd just didn't give a shit about it. But it was kind of a dull matchup. But it was solid but dull. That's probably the best way to explain it. Next up, we have Delirious versus Roderick Strong. This is where the whole Roderick Strong Delirious feud started. Roderick just basically took Delirious out, and power bombed him on the ROH steel guardrail. So that's what pretty much started that feud. Next up, we have Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels versus Shingo and Jack Evans. A nice little attraction tag match. Nothing special, but pretty solid. Next up, we have Homicide versus Morishima for the ROH World Title. This is where Takeshi Morishima wins the Ring of Honor World Title. Homicide loses the belt. This is not a squash match. This is a very, very underrated match. I really, really enjoyed watching this. Morishima looked ultra impressive. The crowd was pretty much more on Morishima's side in this match. For whatever reason, I'll talk more about Homicide in another video, but Homicide's title reign, it just didn't work in my opinion. It just wasn't going to go, according to plan. But, I think one of the reasons why Homicide lost the belt so soon was because I guess Gabe Sapolsky had a feeling that they were going to pull, some of the TNA talent along, in addition to Samoa Joe in the coming months. So I guess they figured they'd give Morishima the belt sooner rather than later. So, all right, next up we have 5th year festival Dayton. This is an underrated show. But, I think the main event kind of killed. I mean, the main event kind of is what makes the show kind of forgettable. But let's get right down to it. The first match to talk about is Christopher Daniels, Jay Briscoe, and Homicide. This is a three-way dance, a paying homage to the first ever Ring of Honor main event. So I thought that made a lot of sense. I thought it really, really worked. Next, we have Matt Sydal and Austin Aries for Sydal's opened the Brave Gate, Dragon Gate Championship. I thought that was fun. They could have been a little bit better, but it still played a nice role on the card. Next up, we had Roderick Strong, Shingo, Claudio Castagnoli, Matt Cross, Mark Briscoe, and Pele Primo. This is a six-man mayhem match. These guys stole the show. I mean, this is kind of randomly thrown together, but it was just really, really fun to watch. Pele Primo got a standing ovation, and everyone looked great in this match. Great action. Next up, we have Samoa Joe versus David Richards. This match is known as the Kick. The ROH message board calls it that because Samoa Joe kicked the crap out of David Richards. It was stiff. It was brutal. There's some amazing spots in this match. You know, this is kind of a dream match, and this was definitely the match of the night. So Samoa Joe, Davey Richards. For some of you guys wondering if they ever had a match, Fifth Year Festival Dayton was the show it's on. And definitely the match of the night, like I said. All right, next we have Takeshi Morishima versus BJ Whitmer. You know, this kind of dull for a Ring of Honor World Title match. I like BJ Whitmer. He's okay, but you know, the fact that him and Morishima going at it for the ROH title, it just came off a little bit flat. And you know, for a Ring of Honor World Title match, you know, this is kind of a risky thing to do if you want to sell DVDs. But I fully support BJ Whitmer, and I think he's underrated. But you know, this match is just kind of dull. All right, next up we actually have Fifth Year Festival Chicago. The second half of the show was great. The first half was probably one of the weakest undercards I think I've seen. But you know, the show doesn't start to pick up until, you know, Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal defend the ROH Tag Team titles against the Briscoes, and this is where the Briscoes finally won the ROH Tag Team titles back for the first time since 2004. The actual match was great. It was really, really good stuff. I gave it a solid 4 stars. Daniels and Sydal pulled off some sick combination maneuvers together, and you know, the Briscoes looked great as they always did in 2007. So that was great stuff. Roderick Strong, Davey Richards versus Austin Aries and Matt Cross. Basically, Aries picked Matt Cross as, you know, the guy to align himself with his stable. You know, Aries eventually would go on to form the Resilience along with Matt Cross and Eric Stevens. But you know, this is pretty good storyline advancement. Roderick and Davey looked like monster heels during the aftermath of this match. So. Next we have Colt Cabana versus Jimmy Jacobs. This is the Windy City death match, great hardcore match. I mean, you know, this feud had been building up for a while with the love triangle with Lacey, and you know, they finally had their blow off match. One of Colt Cabana's best feuds of all time. You know, they pulled off some sick stuff in this match. Jimmy Jacobs did a splash off the ladder through a table, and they pulled out scissors, they pulled out spikes. A very, very bloody match. So that was the match of the night. Next we had Takeshi Morishima and Nigel McGuinness taking on Samoa Joe and Homicide. This is awesome. An awesome tag match. It's really underrated. It took a while to get going, but it is great stuff. One of the most emotional nights in Ring of Honor history. You know, this was Samoa Joe's last Ring of Honor match in the United States. So just really, really good stuff. The ending to this match was, the crowd hated the ending. Nigel actually pinned Samoa Joe with the lariat, so the fans didn't like it, but you know, I thought it worked actually. So, but let's get right down to Fifth Year Festival Liverpool. The final 2 shows of the festival are must-haves. The Liverpool shows were awesome. Everyone needs to check these out. All right, next we have Homicide versus Davey Richards. This is the first match of the night. Excellent way to start the show. Just great, great stuff. I think this was the only time Homicide and Davey actually had a match. Next we have Delirious versus Matt Sydal. 2 out of 3 falls. Good stuff. You know, these 2 guys came up together. They came in the Ring of Honor together, and they have a lot of chemistry. And that was a great match. Next we have Roderick Strong versus Pac. Excellent match here. Roderick looked like a beast. Pac pulled off a lot of high-flying maneuvers, a lot of sick moves. Very, very stiff. Pac could throw a lot of mean strikes as well, so that was great stuff. This is where Roderick actually made the FIP title, the World FIP title, because he defended it overseas. All right, next we had the Briscoes versus Naruki Doi and Shingo for the ROH Tag Team titles. The Briscoes actually lost the belts here to Naruki Doi and Shingo, but the match is excellent. This is probably the second best match of the 5th Year Festival, and by far probably the most underrated Briscoes match of 2007. Just an excellent, excellent tag match. Next we had Samoa Joe versus Nigel McGuinness. Awesome match here. I really felt like Nigel should have won this match. Maybe you could have had Joe win get the pinfall in the tag match and then have Nigel win this match. But you know, this match gave me goosebumps. Though one of the few times in wrestling history where I had gotten goosebumps. Basically, Joe did the muscle buster on the edge of the ring apron to Nigel McGuinness, and then Nigel kind of was walking out of the arena selling an injury. Then Joe called Nigel a pussy. He said, "Nigel, come back in the ring and shake my hand." And when Nigel turned around and came back to the ring, the crowd was going crazy. And it's just one of those rare moments that would just give you goosebumps. But the actual match is great, though. I'd probably give 4 1/4. An excellent, excellent main event. All right, so next up we get 5th Year Festival finale. This is probably one of the best shows in Ring of Honor history. Everyone needs to check this out. You know, you had Jimmy Jacobs and BJ Whitmer. They had an awesome Fall Count Anywhere match. A lot of great spots. Very, very bloody, great stuff. Matt Sydal versus Pac. You know, 2 of the best high flyers in the game, just going at it and putting on a great match. That was good stuff. We had Jay Briscoe versus Mark Briscoe. This match was set up the previous night because you know, they lost the tag team titles, so they wanted to toughen each other up and bring the best out of each other. This is probably the best match at the 5th Year Festival, and by far the best match the Briscoes have had one-on-one against each other. Just a great match. Felt like a last man standing match, but excellent, excellent stuff. We had Naruki Doi and Shingo taking on Davey Richards and Roderick Strong. Excellent match, 4 stars. Just great stuff. Just great action. An excellent tag match. Next we had Nigel McGuinness versus Jimmy Rave. Fight without honor. Excellent match. You know, this is where Nigel and Rave, you know, killed each other. You know, Nigel actually broke Jimmy Rave's jaw. with the Jawbreaker Lariat. The Rebound Lariat became the Jawbreaker Lariat after this match. And like I said, Jimmy Rave, always got the upper hand on Nigel. Nigel finally got his revenge, and this was an excellent match. Next we had Samoa Joe versus Homicide. Samoa Joe's farewell in Ring of Honor, his last match he had against Homicide. That was pretty much his biggest rivalry in Ring of Honor. So, these two guys went out there, just had their usual great match. Joe hit the muscle buster on Homicide off the top rope to finish him off. And yeah, so this is an excellent show. And if you guys watch the whole video, thank you for watching.